Well, it's Traveling Tuesday for us here as we continue on the journey going to different distilleries, and naturally, you know where we're at. Hello everyone, my name is Wayne.
And I'm Rebecca.
And we are your Bourbon Journey.
Welcome to episode 62 of Bourbon Trail Tales and Tastes. Today, we're taking you back to just a couple months ago, March 28th of 2026, and we are visiting the Heaven Hill Springs Distillery. It just opened to the public in September, and we've been waiting to visit there, and we finally got that opportunity in March, and it was a pretty interesting experience. And this is our 71st bourbon distillery, so that was pretty exciting. We got to the traditional Heaven Hill place where the restaurant is and everything else, where everybody always goes to get bottles in the gift shop. And we check in for our tour, and they give us wristbands and say, go wait over there. And that sign was new. We had a brand new, I'll show you a picture here, Stay Bonded sign, which was very cool. I don't know when that got put in, but we stop in there, I think, every time we go to Bardstown. So it's fairly new. And that's where we were to wait for the tour, but we knew we had a little time to shop, which we did, of course. And then we were told to get on a bus because the only way to get to the new distillery is via private bus. So we got there, the gates open, we pull up, very cool. So we got off the bus and our guide came up to greet us, very bubbly, and she was really good. I think we were really fortunate to have her.
It was a long tour with a lot of standing around, and they initially gave us a cocktail when we got up top.
What was it called? It was an old fashioned, wasn't it?
It was an old fashioned.
And then we walked up. It's beautiful. First of all, you get there and it's gorgeous. It is lovely. And then you go inside, and they said you can take your jackets off because this is a closed campus, so no one's going to take them, leave anything you don't want to carry, which was kind of nice. And they had a cocktail waiting for us, and I think it was made with the bottle and bond, as a matter of fact, which we're going to taste in a moment. And then we went upstairs, beautiful vista. You can look down over the bar area, which of course is just for people that just finished the tour, because you can't just go in there and get a drink. But it's so beautiful with the lights and being up top, and they have a lot of historic memorabilia around the room in there. This is the first time since the big fire that they've had a distillery in Bardstown. So it's been decades since that's been a thing. And so it's pretty exciting for them. And at that point in time, the guide talked there and gave us a lot of information. So while we were talking up there and hanging out and drinking our old fashioned before we went on the tour, what do you recall seeing first while we were still in that area?
Well, they showed the area that basically the grain is brought into and dispensed, and talked about some of the advanced techniques that they're using with it to not cause issues and not cause fires. Of course, because of what they've gone through, there was a heavy emphasis on making sure things didn't burn or blow up. You know, and I'm not mocking that, saying it. I totally got it. And it was really cool. It's definitely made to use quite a bit, and they do.
Yeah, and then she started working us through different areas. What I thought was cool about the tour was as we'd work through different parts, we would stop and we would have a pour of something. So we had drinks throughout, which I thought was kind of nice. I think we had like 5 pours, didn't we?
We did.
So we got to taste a lot of different things. And that was how we would stop somewhere. She would give us a pour. We would talk. But I think the very first place we stopped actually was outside of one of the kind of laboratories. Yeah. And she went in and got some grain for us and brought it out, and we were able to eat the grain. And I think we've been on hundreds of tours. This might be the first time I ate grain.
It was. That was probably the most stunning thing, especially from a place that it just seemed like there was hardly anybody there. Yeah. And yet she walks in this empty lab and goes ahead and grabs this grain, and we got to smell it, and we got to taste it. And so we got an idea of the kind of the flavor profile. That part was pretty cool.
Yeah, chewing on the barley and everything else. And I think she even had a little bit of mash in there too for us to smell and look at. There was no actually touching equipment on this tour. So if I had to say one thing negative, is that it was built for tours. And I know that sounds funny to say because we're so accustomed to going on tours where you can get up close and personal with the equipment, where they're saying, don't touch this because it's hot, but you're still there and you can get close to it and things like that. Everything was kind of glassed off almost. And so we walked down that hallway, and probably something I thought was pretty cool in that hallway was, and I think you liked it too, is that's when we came upon the yeast area,
Yes.
right?
Yes, that was probably the coolest thing that we saw on the trip, was this room basically where they had all the yeast that they're, we want to say promulgating or whatever, and it's basically in this one room.
And very automated too.
Yes, very automated, and they are going to build a couple more areas that are in this room for more yeast. It's that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and that was the case throughout the tour, was that while they're still doing mass production here, although it's not as much production as Bernheim right now, but they would say there's room for 3 more yeast tanks in here. So they built the area big enough that they could expand pretty massively. Same thing with the next area. We're looking through glass and where the fermenters were and things like that. And everything's a very closed system. They don't want anything going here or there or jumping into one place or another. They had room for more beer wells, for more fermenters, things of that nature. So very interesting. And then one of the cool things we came upon, we were finally getting to where I thought we were going to see the still and all that, the spirit safe. But we came up and the wall had this huge painting of something that had been in downtown Louisville of Evan Williams, right? Do you recall what that was? I know I have a picture of it, but it was some bottle of Evan Williams, I do believe, that had been on a wall, and someone was renovating and going through the process. And when they took down the outer wall, they found this behind it and said, they called them and said, hey, do you want this? They're like, of course we want that. It was pristinely preserved because it had been behind another wall.
Yeah, it was a signage, it was an advertisement type thing. And now I definitely remember it. And that was maybe, now remembering it, it was probably the highlight of the tour because it was amazing that this piece actually was still around, and the fact that it was in above average condition for its age. It was really cool.
And it was also right in front of where they had the still area and their spirit safe, which was quite lovely, and the still. But again, you're trying to take pictures through glass. You can't really get close. And for us, we're very hands-on kind of people. We like to kind of get in there and see what's going on. And I was missing the smells. I was missing the heat, to be honest. Usually I'm like hot from being near the fermenters or loud from being near the still, and those other sounds and feelings that you get when you're in a working distillery were simply not present. So that was just, it was really eerie for me a little bit. It was almost, if that makes sense, I'm just going to say it was a marvel, a complete marvel. But we would work our way through, then we went down the hallway, and another stopping point, they had barrel heads that explained the various brands they had. And of course, another pour. Everywhere we stopped, there was a pour. So she knew how to keep us entertained. She was very energetic, I will say that. Very passionate about what she was talking about. And then there were pours everywhere we went. So we went up the stairs where they're going to have a future event room, right? And then from there we walked in, we could see the top of the fermenter. So we did get into the fermenting room. It's the closest we got to equipment, wasn't it?
Yes, it's actually the area that got yelled at in.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So
and now granted, I didn't hear it. So when I was looking at the different fermenters, they were all numbered. And I noticed the one that was near me was fermenter number 5. And if you know Glens Creek, then you know. So I told her, get a picture of me pointing at fermenter number 5. So I walked over, went ahead, bent down, she'll probably put up a picture, and pointed down to fermenter number 5. And meanwhile, at that point, I don't know if it was her or whomever.
It was her.
It was her. Basically, I guess, kind of chastised me for getting too close. And I didn't even touch the thing. I barely got close to it. And, so whatever, but I get it. They're probably afraid some nincompoop would come in and probably open the vat and go ahead and jump in. Because we have encountered people like that on tours, trust me.
So then we got through that area. They didn't let us linger there because they were probably concerned more people would want to take pictures or see things. So there was no tasting of the mash and doing this like we like to do so much. But we went through the doors, and then we see the heartbeat, the brain cells. It's like huge computer. So there's someone sitting in this glassed off room with large computer screens on the wall and then a bunch of smaller computer screens, and you could flash up on the wall what was happening. And this is the distiller at that point in time. She was controlling everything that was happening there from that computer. It doesn't mean she doesn't get up and go see things, but 98% of what she does basically is controlling. Now she's going to release the grain. Now she's going to do this. That's too high. That's too hot. That's too low. change the temperature. And that's when we learned about how many people were there.
Whopping 5, including the lady that was in the gift shop that helped us select the glasses that were on the table. Yeah, that was a bit of a shock. 5 people. You know,
talk about efficiency. That's insane, right?
Efficiency, but you know, we've done vintage taste and stuff like that, and I think about the many men and women that worked in these buildings of past distilleries, and all of a sudden you walk in a gigantic room. Well, there are 5 people in here. 5.
The whole building.
5. It's not even enough people to have like a dodgeball game, you know, in this building. Yeah, that was kind of an eye opener.
Yeah, it was really fascinating. So I was really glad we did the tour.
I am too.
I have kind of coined the tour as being antiseptic.
I would agree.
Because it was kind of sterile. You don't touch anything and you see through glass and all that. It was built for tours, but built for safety from our standpoint as well as from the worker standpoint, and it's built for efficiency. That is loud and clear. So it is a marvel in modern day distilling. Could I ever get passionate about that? Probably not, because it's just not, doesn't have the sights and smells. So for me, it was a little hard. But then we went back out to where we started from the loft area, walked down these beautiful stairs to the gorgeous bar where we had a phenomenal tasting. They did several things on the tasting, including, I think it was a Parker's Heritage thing they had out for us. It was a great, great tasting. It was very, very nice. And at that point in time, they had these beautiful glasses they served the one drink in, and it had gold etching on it. And I said, I want to buy it. She goes, oh, we're sold out of those, but we have some other ones, which is what's right here. These are some gorgeous crystal glasses. And we went to the gift shop. We've never seen them anywhere else. We think they're probably just in that gift shop. Perhaps they're online. I don't know. But they had the different grains. Wayne wanted to get the corn and I wanted to get the wheat. So we have corn and wheat here. So there you go. A lot of people were buying the rye. That was a possibility too. I just thought these were gorgeous. And so the first time we're pulling them out of the china cabinet today to taste with them. But I thought that was a great experience. They also had some other bottles there. This bottle we got there, and they had different artist renderings of the bottle and bond at the traditional gift shop, but I didn't see this one. This is the one that's of the Heaven Hill Springs Distillery. So they probably only have it there. And this is series 1 of the collectible. And yes, we popped it open anyway just to drink it today. So
I'm waiting for series 2, bottle and bond special with Bernie Lubbers dancing on the ceiling playing a banjo.
Well, I know they did several in the series. One that was really popular we heard about had a Christmas theme to it, so it's really sold out over the holidays. But
naturally.
So are you ready to get to the tasting then for this?
Why not?
Why not? So let me tell you a little bit about what we have to drink on the table. This is the Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey by Heaven Hill Brands. It is distilled at Bernheim in Louisville, Kentucky. The mash bill is 78% corn, 10% rye, and 12% malted barley. Although Bottled and Bond must be 4 years old, this is a 7-year-old Bottled and Bond. Of course, its proof is 100 as by requirement. MSRP is $50, but we paid $65 for it at the distillery, and I'm not sure if that isn't because it is the special artist rendering. So this was released in September of 2025 as Series 1 collection, and it's a limited edition Kentucky Collectors Artist Series featuring 5 unique watercolor labels by Louisville artist Bree Bowers. This specific label features a newly opened Heaven Hill Springs Distillery in Bardstown. And that's really the reason we bought it. And they also had the original watercolor on the wall in there. And I went through my photos. I cannot believe it. And I get a picture of that. But this is their standard bottle and bond, which is 7 years old, a terrific pour. And it's just really beautiful with that extra thing. So
it is. So now we get to use our glass for the first time. And
first time.
They were kind of pricey. It was like $50.
I think they were closer to 60.
60.
But they are lead crystal. And they are absolutely beautiful. Just gorgeous. And they've got a nice weight to them. I think they're beautiful. They're worth having, but they'll go back in the china cabinet. They won't be daily drinkers or anything like that. It smells good.
Vanilla caramel.
Yeah, it's very nice.
No ethanol.
They have so many varieties of bottle and bond. I think Heaven Hill's considered the bottle and bond king, and Bernie Lubbers was the king of bottle and bond when he was there full time. But the fact that they make them a little older, I think really helps.
I don't even understand why he's called Bernie Lovers. He should have changed his name to Bernie Bottle and Bond. That would have actually sounded snazzier than Lovers.
What's his name?
I understand.
I get a little citrus note on this too. I don't recall that before. Maybe it's this fancy glass that's doing it for me.
I'm getting a slight smokiness.
I'm getting vanilla, caramel, a little bit of maybe orange, and a little bit of barrel coming through.
It's pretty good nose effect.
Shall we taste it?
No, we'll just sit here. No, we should taste it. Cheers to Heaven Hill, bottom bottom.
Cheers. That is very nice.
I think it's sweeter on the nose, but not a whole lot sweeter on the nose.
It's very smooth. I like the feeling of it.
I'm getting brown sugar. I'm getting a lot of vanilla on this one here. I have this almost a vanilla pudding, if you can imagine that. That's the main thing I'm getting on this. I actually like that. I used to, when I was a kid, I used to eat those Hunt snack pack puddings.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I love chocolate. That was my favorite. But I had a vanilla every once in a while, and I always liked their flavor consistency with it. It didn't taste like yicky artificial. And this is what's bringing back memory of.
Yeah, it's very creamy vanilla. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it. You know, that Bottle and Bond, 1 season, at least 4 years old. This is 7. It has to be 100 proof exactly, but it is very nice. It's got a smooth finish on it too. I like the way that vanilla is there. It's got a sprinkling of cinnamon on it, which I think is lovely. I lost the citrus that I was getting on the nose. I'm not getting that on the palate. These other notes took over for me.
I have not gotten citrus. The cinnamon part, I get a little bit. I'm getting a lot of black pepper in the back, which that's sort of surprising me. I was not expecting it from leading with a vanilla to going to that, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I'm getting that on the finish. So it starts out light vanilla and almost orange for me on the nose. Then it goes to darker caramel with vanilla and cinnamon on the palate, then black pepper on the finish. It's a nice little ride. Very pleasant. I like it.
It's probably one of the better bottle bonds I've had.
Yeah, a 4-year-old bottle and bond is pretty good, but when you can get a little bit older, I think while 4-year-old is the requirement, some have been doing more 7-year age statements and 8-year age statements. They have an old Fitz that's got a 7-year age statement now. I think those just taste better because they got more time in the barrel. So it just makes it richer and deeper and more complex.
You know, I think being in the barrel that long is sort of like being married to your wife longer. The longer that you're married to her, the more you appreciate her.
Aw.
You know, so it gets in there and it hangs around in that barrel and just gets lovey-dovey with it and brings out some good juice.
Yeah.
I'm hoping I've scored some points by saying that nice little thing.
I just want to say that this is a good bottle. Highly recommend their Bottle and Bond, especially their 7-year-old. And I'd also say, while we didn't give glowing reviews about the distillery experience, that's from our perspective because we like to be super hands-on. We like to get hot, get our fingers in the mash and all that kind of stuff. But still, I learned a lot. I learned a ton on that. Wayne asked me after we were done because we were both kind of like, eh. But I said, I wouldn't trade doing it because I would absolutely recommend doing it because you need to go and compare it for what this totally modern day experience is all about and how they built this state-of-the-art facility. And they have so much room for growth and expansion. And it is a marvel, a true marvel. So I highly recommend doing the tour. I wouldn't recommend if you've never been on a distillery tour, I wouldn't recommend this as your first tour.
I agree.
That's the only thing I'm going to say about it. I would want to go check out a craft distillery where you really get hands-on, check out some of the other distilleries where you get to see a little bit more what's happening, walk through rick houses. There was no rick house involved in this one, but we have been in their rick houses for the Bottle and Bond tour over at the other facility. But do this tour on your journey, but I wouldn't make it the first one.
I would definitely agree. And with that, we will end this video and raise our glass with a Bottle and Bond. It was an interesting tour. It was a futuristic tour because it's probably where bourbon is going. And we do recommend definitely going and trying it out. If you like what we do, hit the subscribe button. Always remember to drink responsibly And when you're at Heaven Hill, try one of the 100 million versions of Bottle and Bond that they have on the shelf. Cheers.
Cheers.